The topics and opinions expressed on the following show are solely those of the hosts and their guests and not those of W4WN Radio, its employees, or affiliates. We make no recommendations or endorsements for radio show programs, services, or products mentioned on air or on our web. No liability, explicit or implied, shall be extended to W4WN Radio, its employees, or affiliates. Any questions or comments should be directed to those show hosts. Thank you for choosing W4WN Radio.
Radio Toni with Toni Lontis, author of Resilience, memoir of a broken little girl discovering a woman of strength and beauty. Available now on Amazon.com and in all good bookstores. Radio Toni.
My next guest is a wonderful friend of mine by the name of Gwenda Smith. She's a spirit medicine woman and holistic intervention practitioner, the founder of H.E.A.L, a harmonious, enlightened, aligned life, offering clients the most authentic and complete holistic approach to health and wellness. Gwenda is one of the world's leading complementary medicine and natural healing influencers, with a special interest in our innate ability that we all have to heal ourselves. She's a global speaker, a mentor for men and women who want to feel fulfilled, happy and peaceful. And through her combined approach of holistic knowledge and her ability with spirit medicine, you can gain valuable insights and practices into healing through food, posture, breath, natural and energetic alignment for more vitality, happiness and fulfillment. That's a big mouthful. I'm sorry, Gwenda. Good morning.
Good morning, Toni, and you did it ever so well.
Oh, I'm so happy to have you here. What a great show to have today on the last day. So, Gwenda, I want you to start by telling me you haven't always been in this world of work. So you were, like myself, a nurse, weren't you?
Yes, I was, Toni. I began in health as a nurse.
And you were also in the same specialty as I was, and that's operating theatre nursing.
Yes, my favourite part. So I began, obviously, like you, on the wards and looking after people being unwell, and noticed that for people having the same condition or the same medical diagnosis, their response to treatment was very individual, as was their recovery. And I thought that was very fascinating. So it took me on a bit of a tangent to learn more about that, but then I wanted to know about the body inside out. So I went into the operating theatres to learn more about that.
Yes, I think that's what draws theatre nurses to their specialty, is that wanting to see what goes on inside of the body, because you spend so much time looking at what happens on the outside of the body and the manifestation of illness. So I'm just going to quickly pop on. Richard and Harper have both chatted in questions, and I'm sure you're going to be able to answer these. So Richard wants to know, can you cleanse and return the negative energy back to a person? And Harper wants to know, would it be bad karma to send negative energy back to the sender? So great questions, and I'm sure you can answer them.
I certainly can, Toni, and thank you very much, Richard and Harper. They are brilliant questions, and they're things that I really enjoy. So any time that you're wanting to return the favour, as we might say, to someone who is sending you their negative energy, it's more a case of asking that anything that is not right for you, is not of your highest good, be returned from where it came. Some people use this to just send energy away, but it could land on some poor innocent soul who has nothing to do with it. So, yes, you would ask for it to be returned to the sender, and that's all. You don't put anything else on it. Otherwise, you're inviting karma back to yourself. And then Richard's question.
That's the safe way to do it?
Sorry, Toni?
That's the safe way to do it, is to just recognise that negative energy and send it back from whence it came, not naming anything, or it just goes back to where it came from.
Yep, there's no need ever to use a name, because the divine knows exactly, and that energy knows where it has come from. So, yes, you would return it there. And Richard's question, can you cleanse and return the negative energy back to the person? Can you cleanse it? You would not be looking to cleanse it of what they've sent. You would be looking to cleanse your own energy fields, remembering that you have more than 12 energy fields and your energy is infinite. Yeah. So it's a big task, and you would need to see it as being thoroughly swept through all energy bodies that are yours. And then you simply return, once again, you return what has been sent that does not belong to you and has no place with you in your life.
Yeah. So, Gwenda, when I was reading through some of the notes, something that stuck out for me and I wanted to ask you about live on air was the past life soul fragmentation. Can you explain that for us? I know we've not got a lot of time, but...
That's a fantastic question. Thank you, Toni. Past life soul fragmentation. When we have come from one life to another, we will always bring something with us from that past life. And if it is obviously something that is on a higher vibration, then it's going to be very helpful to us. If, however, it's been a traumatic experience, we could have even died very traumatically, we bring that fragmentation with us into our current life, and that then creates issues for us in our present life. So when we do a soul reintegration and bring all of the soul back into itself with healing light, it allows you to be complete without parts of the soul being fragmented. I don't say that it is broken away, because the soul can never be broken away. It's simply fragmented, and it looks, if you like a jigsaw puzzle that's just not fitting in properly. So there's little gaps, and those gaps create issues for us in our whole well-being, our whole wellness. So to bring it all back into alignment, so that the soul is totally aligned, is where we find harmony, where we find that things we just can't explain. Why does so many things go wrong in our life? They stop. All those things that are not helpful, they stop, because our soul is now completely in alignment and balanced once again.
I was going to say, how can people recognise soul fragmentation in their own life? What does it manifest? What does it look like in people's lives? Some examples of that.
Well, it can actually vary, Toni. So I'm going to say that as a general rule of thumb, you would have a lot of issues with emotional stability, emotional resilience, what people would call mental instability. So you could have a lot of trouble finding peace in your mind, feeling like your mind just will not be still, but it's not just through what people call busyness. When the mind won't be still, becomes so very cluttered, so very noisy for the person, almost like they've got somebody else talking in their head. So soul fragmentation can show up as mental and emotional issues, but it can also show up as you continually having a seemingly imbalance in the physical body that just won't be fixed. So you might find that you have a continual snapping or spraining of the same ankle over and over and over, and it doesn't matter what you do, that ankle keeps spraining badly. That can also be an indication that there is a soul fragmentation.
Wow, that's fascinating. So fantastic. I'm learning so much today. Sorry, listeners, I'm just really fascinated with our guest today. So that's soul fragmentation. And how do you reform the soul, Gwenda? So you recognise that you might have some soul fragmentation. How do you fix it?
Well, if you are a person who can really delve into stillness, so also known as meditation, but I have some different takes on meditation because a lot of people find that word difficult to sit with. So stillness and quietness, if you have mastered being able to sit in stillness and quietness, you can actually call upon your unique pathway of healing to call all parts of your soul back to you. But you would also need to be able to be sure that it is cleansed, that it is clear, that it is very well to bring it back to you. So really, Toni, for a non-practitioner, for an everyday person, I would say that they would truly need the guidance of someone who is able to see into spirit, who is able to see into the layers of the soul and the energy bodies, to then be able to guide you and give you the tools that you can go forward with.
Yeah. Okay. So that's where you'd find someone like yourself or like Arlene, who we've just listened to, who could guide you on that journey, correct?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay. So some of the other things that I was reading about that really fascinate me, and for which my own learning and understanding is quite limited, is the conversation around channeling the archangels.
Oh, yes. You have been doing some wonderful reading, haven't you?
Oh, yes. I've been listening to Gabrielle Bernstein as well. So my mind and soul are sucking up all this information. And Gabrielle Bernstein talks about the different archangels. And to be honest, I haven't had a chance to delve into each of the different ones and know and understand what each of them bring into our lives. Just there's a general understanding that we can call on the archangels to do XYZ or help us with XYZ. That's about the limit of my understanding so far. Before we get onto the archangels, though, Richard's comment is true. So need to go back to that past life and see how to reframe that event into something more positive and resourceful. Yeah, thanks, Richard. That's true, isn't it, Gwenda?
Possibly. I would have to add in there that every lifetime offers us different circumstances, different challenges for us to evolve and grow from.
Yeah.
Not necessarily, Richard, do you need to go back to that past life. What I would have people do is have a look at how it is playing out in this life and make peace with it, heal it for this life. That therefore goes back through the Akashic records and will clear it from a past life. You want to always be focused on what it is that you're dealing with and you're trying to work with present time, so that you remain present, you remain grounded, and it's easier to clear and cleanse. So anything you are dealing with in this life will always go back and help with anything that is from the past.
Okay. Right. Now, let's get on to these archangels. What can you tell me, Gwenda?
My favourite buddies to hang out with, the archangels. So I'm going to put a different step in here too, Toni, and say that obviously archangels are beings of God. So when someone feels they need help and they need to call, it's actually better to go to the top. So you would go and you would call upon God first to assist with whatever issue it is that you're having. And if you feel an archangel is the right one to help, you can ask. But if you like, the head of everything, being God the Creator, will actually send the relevant angel to you. So in other words, you might not necessarily know which one to call upon, but he does.
Okay. So I'm going to explore this, the word God. I know from my perspective, I interchange God with universe. What are your thoughts about that? Do you believe that it is a one higher spiritual power, whatever name that is? Or what are your thoughts about that, Gwenda?
Thank you. I love this question. I meet a lot of people that say to me, the universe has got my back. The universe, if the universe is willing, I will have, or this will happen. So my question to them is, do you know who you are talking to when you say the universe? And they look at me blankly. And I say, so when you're saying the universe, what is that to you? And they say, well, it's that great big space out there. And I say, so what is in that great big space? I don't know. So when you're calling upon the universe, you actually don't know who you're calling upon, unless for you have got a very specific knowing for you. That's for
me.
So
it's a spirit. For me, it's spirit.
Yes.
God.
So you're calling upon the great spirit of the universe, and that's fantastic. But most people use the word very broadly and have no explanation, no clarity like you have there. So my reply to them is that that's not going to be very helpful, because there is plenty of other beings, there's plenty of other galaxies, and they will answer you. But it doesn't mean that they can answer you with what you want or what is in your best interest. Now, I have had visitations with these beings. I am aware of all the different things that are out there. So I like to teach my students of life to be more discerning with what the word universe means, and really have that in mind if they are going to talk to the universe. For me, Toni, I'm not religious, but for me, because of my encounters throughout my life, the word God is what sits with me. And Jesus, Buddha, you know.
That's why I'm asking, because in my I have Christianity in my background, but that's my beliefs have somewhat changed more to that universal higher spirit. And I would rather use universe. I do sometimes use God because of that Christian background, but it's the same thing to me. It's a higher universal power, spirit, the knower of all things, the doer of all great things. Yeah.
That's wonderful. But when it's a blanket word, the universe has got my back. And what I often find with people that say the universe has got my back, life goes really pear-shaped. I say to them, where's your universe now?
Yeah.
Because they don't actually have what I call faith.
Yes.
And they don't have a true belief. It's a very blanket approach, and it isn't helpful when you need help in your life. So to be discerning, to have a great understanding, and make sure that you have unwavering faith and belief in your understanding, that's what's going to make the difference for you in your life, in everything you do.
Okay, so back to these archangels. Who are they and what do they do?
Who are they? They are never human. It makes me laugh.
Excellent.
When say
what a great thing to know.
An angel. No, they are never human. There's supposedly two that were at one point human. That's Metatron and Sandalphon, and they were so good that they were ascended into the realm of the archangels. But archangels stand well over 7 foot tall. They are massive beings. They're absolutely beautiful. Their energy, their radiance is beautiful. Yeah. And they head up there's 12 true archangels, and they head up the various collective of angels. So, for example, Archangel Raphael is the archangel for healing, who brings the healing light, but he's also got his team of angels that would come to someone that was looking for help, that needs an angel to be with them all the time. So they would be assigned an angel from Archangel Raphael's beautiful healing light to look after them. And then Michael, of course, is our grand archangel of protection. Yes, often called upon for protection, and he is just so special in his own right, as they all are. So each one does have their own specialty area, just like us humans have different specialties.
And you said there's 12 of them, and can you tell me each of them?
Zadriel, Ezekiel,
Yes.
Michael, Gabriel, H.E.A.L,
Yep.
H.E.A.L. Did I say Raphael? Raphael.
Yeah. Yep.
Metatron, Sandlophon, and isn't it funny, a lot of them got the ons at the end. Michael, of course.
That's pretty close to 12. That was my curiosity, knowing that I really want to delve into that, the whole archangel knowledge around archangels and how they connect to we as a human body and soul. And that's an important consideration, isn't it, Gwenda? That we have a human body, and inside or around our human body is our soul.
I like to say that around the solar plexus chakra is where our eternal flame of life resides. So when we are in this physical form, for me, I can see in people their eternal flame of life, which would be your soul, but that resides as a beautiful flame right around the centre part of the solar plexus chakra, and then, of course, radiates your life force throughout your physical self, and then out into all of the energy bodies that make you up as an entire soul and spirit.
Yeah. So in understanding that, we really have a lot of power within the human experience to manifest things, to heal ourselves, and to live our best lives, yeah?
We certainly do. And if only we had that path paved for us, or if we had someone to hold our hand from the time we arrive here to know that, rather than lose our way. However, there's always the polarity. So the polarity is that we're gifted this wonderful experience of a life here. We signed up for it. And as a result, we experience things, and to be able to experience them, we need to start from scratch. So we don't have necessarily that connection to our deeper self right away to know it on a conscious level. Yeah. But it's always there for us to tap into, and it always waits. It's just waiting ever so eagerly, as are the angels, for us to ask. All we have to do is ask the question.
Yeah. Willow wants to know, do you have to be in person to see in a person? So
no, I don't.
Yeah, you understand, yeah?
Yeah. No, I don't. I work with people from all around the world, and I can see in just talking to them on the phone.
Yeah. Not everyone has that ability, though, correct?
No. That's right, Toni. It's not something that all gifted people have. It's a little bit the same as looking at us in our human selves, that some people are doctors, some people are truck drivers, some people are dentists. Everybody has their skill set or has their path that they take. And so even in the gifted line of things, not every gifted person has the ability to actually see in to the physical and into the troubled parts of the soul.
Okay, so for Gwenda, that's part of your special set of gifts, correct?
It certainly is, and that's why I'm often called to the hospital or to hospices or to someone who just isn't getting well, and when the doctors say, we don't know, which is a common phrase for them these days, we don't know, or we can't do anything more for you. Family will ring me, or even a friend will ring and ask if I could have a look and see what the problem is.
Okay, so that's another one of your gifts, is that ability to see disease and illness from a different level than doctors, yeah?
Yes, I can see into the actual physical body and see what isn't working, but I can also find where that's come from, whether it's historical, whether it's past life, whether it's present, and what's actually caused it, to then be able to help the person use their inner wisdom to heal it.
Okay. So Jim wants to know, would you be able to see it in a chat room, so to speak? So I guess Jim's asking you can do this from Australia across the world, can't you, Gwenda?
Yes, Toni. Yes,
yeah.
I can.
So Jim, yes, most definitely. Gwenda's details are further up in the chat room, and just for those people that want to know that aren't on the chat room at the moment, it's healingwithgwenda.com.au or just healing with...
No, it's Heal. Heal, Toni. H
Heal.
is next to be the capital H dot capital E dot capital A dot L.
Yes.
With Gwenda. And the HEAL stands for, as you introduced it, Harmonious, Enlightened, Aligned Life. And it's just .com, everyone, no .au.
Fantastic. And for those of us on the chat, they're in there at the moment. Gwenda's website is up there at the moment. So getting back to the power of manifesting the things that we want in our life, do you want to briefly talk about what that looks like?
Do you know, Toni, people manifest every day without even realising.
Yes.
It's just the word manifestation became a real hype, and loads of people came out with courses and things, but it makes me laugh because we manifest everything constantly. Our reality is our own manifestation no matter what, and I know for some people that can be quite confronting because of things that are experienced, and believe me, I've had plenty on my path too. But aside from that, how do we manifest? One, you really need to be in alignment, in true alignment with yourself, understanding who you are and what your life is, what life is that you want. Then you set about being able to have each day making set intentions of what you want from that day that take you closer to your big picture of manifesting. So your thoughts must be congruent. They must be aligned with your true self, with your heart, with your soul. Your thoughts are incredibly powerful, and that's where you bring your manifestation. So if, for example, I was actually talking to a young plumber recently, and he's got a business coach who wants him to spend $250,000 on a new piece of machinery. And this has nearly had this young plumber have a nervous breakdown because he doesn't feel his worth in that kind of money. Whereas he wants his business to escalate and be really successful and bring in loads of money. However, he's not aligned to that because his belief in himself and his belief in his worth of earning that is not congruent. So instead of that manifestation happening, he's actually manifesting all sorts of pain in his body and all sorts of obstacles in his life. So understanding yourself, your true self, delving into your heart, releasing it of anything that is restrictive, constrictive to you, really aligning with your truths, with your personal values, living your personal values in everything you do every day, no compromising and no apologising for being you, really standing in your own power, you can manifest anything instantly.
Wow, that's powerful stuff.
Richard's we're extremely powerful.
Yeah, I know. I'm beginning to understand that more and more. Richard says, manifestation, look at the people travelling into work on Monday morning. You can see they are manifesting a bad week from their faces. And James goes, how can we manifest our lives when the will of others play a part in anything around us? Good question, James.
Oh, that is an awesome question, James, and I'm going to say that when we fall prey to the will of others, we are immediately out of alignment with our own soul. And that, Toni, would be a conversation for a whole day. It's worth a workshop even, because for people to really understand where they're at in themselves and why their life is veered off course by the will of others is really deep emotional healing. That's the best way I can put that. And it takes some deep delving and some courage. It takes a lot of courage to go into that.
Yeah.
Mentally.
Because it makes you uncomfortable when you have to look at yourself at that level. Harper goes, yes, that's a good question, James. If other people have their own will, how can we make things happen in our lives if we want them to be a part of us?
Oh, now we
another
have,
good question.
now we have expectations playing out.
Yes.
Expectations and our own wants and our own desires, and therefore we are intruding on someone else's will. And once again, this is a huge topic.
Yes.
It's not easy to just answer it in a nutshell. So what I'm going to say once again is when at any time that we are being veered off course or we are forfeiting our life through the will of others or what we believe is the will of others comes back to us not being congruent to ourselves, to our true soul, and to us having expectations, placing desired outcomes on a relationship or on the way someone should be towards us or should be doing with us. This is all of the conditioned mind. This is not of the soul. It's not of unconditional love and unconditional acceptance.
So we really have to let go of those expectations and really let go. And if they're meant for you and if that person is meant to be in your life, then that will happen. Am I understanding that?
That's right. Yeah. And the letting go is not so easy, Toni.
Tell me about it. Tell me about it. The letting go and when you're passionate about something and when you're passionate about living your life to your best ability and you see and know things that are meant to happen, it's very hard to let go of those expectations, let go of those wants and desires and allow the universe to bring them when the time is right. Am I understanding that correctly?
Well, when you have expectations, that very much comes from a lack of acceptance. So you're placing expectations. You want something to run to your time frame. You want something to work out the way you want it. And this is where people get confused because we are told to goal set. We're told to achieve. We're told how to do that, which is great. It's got its place, and in my mind, it's a must on a certain level. Yes. But at the same time, you set a goal and you release it. You don't hold on to that outcome that you've already put out there. You've already put that out to the heavens. And yes, if you don't have an attachment to that outcome, an attachment to what you have said you want, it will come to you. But if you place an attachment, then there is judgment, there's expectation, and with that comes disappointment and all sorts of upheaval most commonly. And that's where you'll also find, back to James's thoughts on other people's will, that's where you'll find you'll get a lot of rebut from other people's will, and you'll be right off course and seem to have all sorts of obstacles trying to get to where you want to go, when if you would be very, very secure in yourself, living to your intentions, living to your personal values, no one can actually place their will on you. They can only do that because you allow it. And your question to yourself is, why am I allowing it? What do I want from that person? And usually, Toni, usually it's approval. Usually we want their approval. We want them to see us for who we believe we are instead of us seeing who we are and standing in that power, standing in our own light.
Yeah. Anne wants to know, if something is meant to happen yet it doesn't, how is that explained?
I just love these questions, people. Thank you so much. If something is meant to happen, well, you would have to be a little bit more specific with me on that, because what do we mean when we say something is meant to happen? So if you've been told that something's going to happen for you and it doesn't, there's a few variables with that, and that will most often be that you've applied your right of free will, free choice, and you've therefore changed your path in some way, and that could be something very small, but you've changed your path, and that has negated what was going to come. But is there anything that must happen? I have an analogy for happen.
Yes.
For health, and it's how everyone allows life to happen, because we all play a part in whatever happens.
Yeah. Richard is saying...
Does something...
Sorry, Gwenda, you go.
Oh, does something must happen or something have to happen? Only if that's by our own calling.
Yeah. Richard saying, I go out into the future and place the outcome of my goal in my timeline, complete with the emotions of how I feel on achieving that outcome. It's then firmly in the future.
Beautiful, Richard. Now I'm going to ask you to make that in the present.
Oh.
Make it like it is now. And you will manifest more rapidly.
Okay.
Now, we'll say too that with manifestation, if it's not what is meant to be for you, if that is not the grand plan of what your soul has agreed to. So, for example, I'll use the tiniest, most common one.
Yeah.
I want to be a multimillionaire.
Yes.
But if that's not what you came to experience in this world, if that's not what your service is to be in this world, you can do all the manifestation under the sun. It won't happen.
Okay, so how do you get clarity around knowing what is for you and what isn't?
Brilliant, Toni. We're back to the beginning where we sit in stillness, we sit in silence, we use the breath, we make sure that our energy fields are cleared, cleansed, we are grounded, and we sit. And we can ask, but it is better to sit and wait, and you'll be shown and you will hear from your soul. And then you find that the day, because you place no expectations on the day, you find that all of a sudden the right people, the right circumstances, things just start showing up.
Yes, yeah. And it is that quiet knowing that you know that that's what's going to happen. Well, that's my personal, in that quiet space and in that space where your mind is quiet and you see a vision for the future and you just know that that's what it is.
Yeah.
That's my
own. And the
own
future,
personal.
That's right. That's exactly right. And anytime the mind wants to butt in, the mind has a very important role to play with us, but its role is in the consciousness, its role is in our everyday life. Excuse me. Its role is not of the soul, and it's not of the knowing. So to understand how to harness our mind and understand how we drive it, not it drive us, then we can also bring forward the will and the wonders of the internal drive and wisdom of our soul.
Yes, because there's a lot of wisdom held within your soul, and if you allow your body and mind to be quiet, your soul can speak and show you those things. Is that my correct understanding?
You certainly are. You're spot on. The wisdom that we have is like our true self. It's infinite and it's eternal.
Yes.
So if we would just give it half a chance to share its wisdom with us, we would be so much more calm. We would find life flows so much easier. We would be more enlightened. But I must say once again, we have the polarity. If someone did not come here to this life to experience those things, if they've had to come to experience hardship, to experience even some major traumas, then that is what their life path will be. So, there is a flip side to this. There is what is the soul contract? What is it that we're here for? And maybe becoming enlightened or getting that connection with the soul isn't to happen until much later in our life.
Yes. Much later in one's life.
Never too late. Hey, Toni, never too late.
Look, I'm running out of time, but I just wanted to have a quick combo about deep healing channeled meditations. Can you explain to our listeners what that is?
Oh, yes. Well, we mentioned the word meditation a little while ago.
Yes.
And it isn't such a blanket thing. A lot of people I work with will tell me that they meditate every day, and I ask them, do they have a purpose or an intention for their meditation? And sometimes they will say yes, they've been taught to have a purpose. Other times they'll say no, I don't really know what I'm doing. So for meditation to work really well, it's a good idea to start by using just the breath and getting used to feeling into your body, letting your body talk to you so it can tell you whatever is being held in the body, because whatever is stiff, whatever is hurt, whatever is painful in the body has a significant message from the soul. I say the physical body is the messenger of the soul. And then with your meditation, to go into a deep healing meditation is a whole different experience. And that's where I place people into a very deep sense of calm and peace, where you can really release deep traumas, deep blockages that have been stuck with them, and even things that don't belong to them. There may be things in their system that have actually been what I call hand-me-downs, been handed down from very thoughtful grandparents or great-great-grandparents. And you can even have some soul fragmentation from your ancestors, and they're really not very helpful. So a deep healing meditation takes you to a whole different plane, and it is exactly that. It heals on a very deep level of self, and it's simply divine.
Gwenda, what a lovely conversation we've had this morning, and we are now out of time, unfortunately, because the lovely Tracy Tully is on the line waiting to go live. Gwenda, thank you so much for coming on Radio Toni today. I've loved our conversation, and I know that the listeners have enjoyed it as well. I just want to have a wonderful Christmas, and I know that I'll be talking to you in 2020 without a shadow of a doubt. Thank you for the time today. I know it's been a bit of a busy time for you as well, and thanks for coming on Radio Toni.
Toni, it's been an absolute honour. Thank you so much for having me, and thank you to all your listeners with their fabulous questions.
My listeners are the best. And I hope that you have a restful Christmas period, and we'll catch up with you in the new year.